This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell-Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning, Mr. Randy.
Good morning, Terry, and everybody out there.
That's it. Hey, happy belated birthday, buddy.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, so, here we are. Saturday morning, All About Home Construction. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a good show. And
I believe it will be.
Yeah, we plan ahead on this. So, anyway, thanks to all of our listeners out there. We really appreciate you. Hey, how did the breakfast go last week?
Good.
Nice.
Thanks everybody coming out.
That's really awesome that we got just a community like that. So sweet.
I'll tell you what, November kicked my butt.
Oh, come on.
It did. Golly.
Well, I mean, it's almost Christmas time now. That November was 2 weeks away.
Behind.
Yeah.
Well, it was truly amazing the amount of people that, came in for Dave's Thanksgiving dinner.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean, golly, I didn't even get to slow down. But thanks for everybody to come out. I hope y'all had a great meal. We also hosted a dart tournament. That took up the whole building. Yeah. And it's been a long time since I cooked from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
That's cool. That's cool.
And they said we'd like to come back next year.
Sweet. Just don't plan it on the same day as singing on the mountain. That Mr. Green over there is gonna,
Gosh,
you don't want to do them again the same day, right?
That's a fact.
That's cool.
The VFW standing down this month on food.
Sure.
I mean, we are having a post dinner for members, and it's a potluck. So, if you're a member, come on. And
but you'll be back in the 2025, right?
Yeah, and we're going to do something different in January. We're going to do soup, salad,
yum,
and grilled cheese. Have 2 vegetarian soups and 1 meat lover soup.
Sweet. I like my grilled cheese with like ham on it.
Well, I ain't got no horse in that race. I'm just announcing it.
No, most people like grilled cheese. I like grilled cheese, but only if it's a quesadilla, which is different somehow. And
then we'll be back in February with our Valentine's meal.
That's going to be a fun one, yeah. So what kind of steak we got this time?
We're going to do prime rib.
Sweet.
And we're going. We did a soup, salad, potato, prime rib. But the thing that's really, golly, is beef is going up. Yeah.
And I was really, really hoping at some point it would be coming down, but I think it just keeps rising, not dropping.
Well, farmers are holding their heifers.
Sure.
All right, they're getting ready to start building the cattle herds back, and they do expect a drop coming, but it's going to be a while. And
I mean, it's just there's all sorts of issues with it.
Well,
supply, and I mean, it's a whole supply chain, but cow, I think, you can't produce it as fast as you can chicken and pork.
Correct. But believe it or not, beef is still the number 1 protein in the United States.
Well, I mean, who doesn't like a good hamburger?
And
the problem is most of the hamburgers you buy anymore are not 100% beef.
No, they're not. And that really bothers me. And you don't know what's in it.
Right.
There's still pink slime in the hamburgers that you eat at the hamburger joints.
Yep.
I know this is a political, but I'm hoping that the new gentleman coming in over the USDA will be changing some of that, and we're getting back into natural foods.
Right.
Because I really think we're poisoning our system with all the additives and the preservatives and everything else.
That has
nothing to do with construction.
Yes, it does, because every construction worker has to eat, Randy, and they have to be healthy.
I guess the biggest thing that really makes me mad about the town of Boone is the food trucks. Because they could feed a lot of construction companies.
Sure.
And the restrictions on them. So I don't like that at all.
Fair enough. But anyway, All About Home Construction. Give us a call today, 828-262-1567. Don't forget the podcast too. Share it with some friends. We're growing the audience there, and we appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
Sharing it with
Thank
people.
y'all.
And, yeah.
And be careful we get some ice this evening. We know you got the parade going on.
I think we'll be okay during that. I think it's really going to be overnight that it's going to kind of really switch over to bad weather. So we'll see.
And it's supposed to be gone at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
and turn back to rain.
So I think tonight's going to be a weird one. I don't know. I think overall, I don't think it's going to be a terrible ice storm. I think it's not impact wise. I think we'll be all right. But who knows? Because to be honest, the last couple snowstorms we've got, I was way wrong. So.
Well, they were too, like 1 inch and turned into 5.
5. I'm telling the kids at school, like, no, we'll have school tomorrow. I'm not too worried. And then there's 5-6 inches of snow in my house. I'm like, oh, didn't mean to miss that one so much. But anyway.
And another thing too, think about the people of the storm.
I worry a lot about that, especially as we get closer to Christmas and winter, and yeah.
You know what? They did come to the VFW because we did have some sleeping bags, but we were all out adults and only had children, and they had a lot of vets sleeping in tents down at the VA in
right.
Asheville, and also a lot of news lately. A lot of people sleeping in tents.
Right. Yeah, a lot more than we realize.
Yeah, and.
Well, I drove through last week. Finally, first time I'd been over into Avery County since the storm because I tried to stay away, let people, give them the space to do what they needed to do. But was driving up through there and heading over towards Elk Park, and it's rough over there. Well, I mean, I knew it was, but just to see it and know that it's been cleaned up for how many months at this point.
Well, we're going to deal with this for years.
Oh yeah. Totally. Well, and then there's the whole issue of the housing. I mean, I think real estate wise, I think this is something we're going to deal with for many years, right? Is because how many people are fixing the damage themselves, not up to code, or they're we're getting things done so fast that maybe it's not up to code. So how are 5-10 years from now when we start to sell these houses?
That's when it's going to bite you.
Yeah.
And the home inspector that the new home buyer is going to hire is the one that's going to nail you.
So that's my fear is the again 5-10 years from now.
Well,
when it comes to the housing market,
I'm really mad at North Carolina. You can still get online and look at the codes, but that's getting ready to change in 2025.
Right.
And you'll have to buy a book.
Sure.
And I don't know what the cost of the book is, but it. I don't even know what the new codes is going to come out and be with the changes.
Sure. Because
of the flood in North Carolina. General Assembly went in right after Helena came in talking about new codes, and they're saying this is a 500-year flood that we got. Yeah. That means everything in Boone can't be built where it is today.
Yeah, I know, and I think it's, I don't know. I don't know the answer, but something. Well, I mean, it's a trade-off, right? Like you got to protect people, and that's why we have codes. But at the same time, like you got to allow people to do stuff. Yep. So it's a tricky thing. All right, we'll take a break and we'll get back into it right after this. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of you out there. And happy holidays. We're getting in that season now.
Yeah. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
That's it. Well, okay, let's get into the show for you, man. So, there's always problems with I mean, you got to maintain a house. We always talk about maintaining a house. But there's lots of times that we don't realize there's issues until it's a big issue.
Correct.
And I think that's like these sort of like silent signs, these sneak up on you. I think those it's easier if you can take care of them while they're like small problems.
Yeah, and and the first one is a roof boot. Okay, and roof boots never had a warranty on them.
Right.
Like metal roof boots supposed to have a 20-year warranty on them.
Okay.
But what we found out about metal roof boots is that the heat and stuff over time, where it was slid over the pipes, that it would start to give. And when it rained, like I was up on my roof in a thunderstorm just to see what was causing it to leak.
Right.
Because we always caulk around the base of the roof boot. All right. And we cut the hole smaller, so we have to force it on it. But over time, it loosens up, and I'd watch a big drop hit it, and it'd bend a little and then run down the pipe.
Yeah.
So we went to putting a stainless steel. Even though we still caulked it,
right,
over a period of time, there isn't but one caulk out there that will hold up on a metal roof, and that's Solar Seal.
Okay.
And but we caulk it, and then we put a stainless steel radiator clamp around it, so we'd hold it. But now you get back to a shingle roof. It used to be a metal pipe flange with a rubber grommet on top, and you just slid it over.
Yep.
Well, back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, I never seen one fail.
Right.
But now we're seeing them failing after the boots cut. Some engineer in the 2000s decided, well, your rubber's too thick on it.
Right, and so now they're probably using a different rubber to begin with.
Yeah, so, and a lot of times when you have a re-roof, a guy that's cheap will not change your roof boots out.
So, well, that was going to be my question, right? Would I mean the easiest solution is just to change it out?
Always. Anytime you go with a new roof, you want everything new. Okay, you don't want to leave the old. Now, there's times you can't get the old felt off. Okay, because it had so much asphalt in it that it stuck to it, and so that's fine. Put your felt back over it.
Right.
And but get everything off that you can, so you can get down to look at what your substrate is
and see how rough it is.
Yeah, because golly, back we talked about before plywood, seeing 7-strand plywood, 5-strand plywood. Now we have do-ply. It's only 3 layers, and when it gets wet, it starts to delaminate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool, but it's good to know what you're saying there, because I know, to me, the leaks, every time I've ever been up there, like I'm caulking around the flashing part of the boot, right, like the bottom part, and so you're saying that the hole itself is a place that we see a lot of failure.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. And
sounds stupid when I say it out loud, but that when you're looking at it, you just assume that rubber is working.
Let me rephrase a statement I had, but it was on metal, but when you go into using on asphalt shingles and stuff, silicone is still the best material you can use.
Okay.
And but the biggest thing is that really bothers me is I wish y'all could see this picture here. We're looking at a roof boot and a ventilation hood, but attic ventilation hood. Okay, and both of them are installed incorrectly. Okay, so when the Helena came, both these items we're looking at would have caused leaks into your house.
Yep.
And it could have been fixed correctly by the man that put the shingles on,
right,
because he didn't read his manufacturer's specifications.
Yeah, makes sense. Imagine that.
And one of the worst things you can use on a roof, and any kind of roof, metal roof, shingle roof, cedar shake roof, slate roof, is roofing tar. Stay away from it. It's not the same stuff that I grew up with in the 60s, because the old roofing tar, when it got hot, it didn't run away.
melt off.
Yeah. Now it runs. And what I mean by it just grows through expansion.
Yeah.
But when it gets cool, it doesn't come back.
Yeah.
It doesn't contract, so it gets cracks in it.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe how many houses we've gone to. Well, I've got a chimney leak.
And you look like 5 buckets of stuff been put over the years.
Yeah. And then they want to know, well, why is it so expensive to fix it? Because it takes so long to cut it off. Because you got to cut it all the way back to the brick or the block.
Yeah.
Or you got to deal with the rock. And then you got to flash it correctly to do it. And
cool.
So, the guy that did the quick fix costs you more money down the road.
Right. That's usually the case. Okay, so we know one of the causes, a major cause of the problem, right? But we don't typically see that until we get the actual stains on the ceiling.
Correct. That's generally, and then what's the next thing happens? Oh my God, I got black mold in my house.
Right.
And you don't necessarily have black mold.
Yeah.
And
not all mold is. Well, I don't want to say that. Not all mold is the most dangerous. Like we think of. We think of black mold, and it's like.
Yeah, that's first. That's the first everybody's indication.
Not to say that any mold is good, but to say that like some molds are safer than others.
Well, to give you an idea, you can make bread without any yeast by letting it set out on your counter overnight.
But mold and yeast is two different things.
It is, but it's the mold that creates the yeast.
Yeast is a fungi. Don't get me started on yeast, man.
Well, then we ain't brewing beer
now. But yeah, you're right, and but if you can fix the problem first, right? Stop the water, and then when you start to see that, the tracking it though is the hardest part. I guess that's where I'm going with these ceiling stains. Is it's not necessarily a hole straight above that stain.
Correct.
And a lot of times it's not above it.
Correct. And one leak you'll never find is a house that's got 2 layers shingles on it.
Because they run who knows where.
That's right. And, over the years, well, I couldn't afford a new roof, but I had them put this other one on. Well, I'm sorry, I can't help you because I can't track it down because I don't know if it's a pop nail.
Right.
What it is. Well, you don't have any drip edge on your house. So it could be wind blowing water up underneath and then natural convection of the sun of the day drawing the water up underneath the shingles till they find that spot where it leaks.
Right. Cool. Okay. So fix the stains, though. How do you fix the stains, by the way?
Well,
besides paint. I mean, is that really the only good way?
No, like they're showing here, they're spraying it with a moldicide. Mm-hmm. Peroxide is a good moldicide that you have at home, and it's not too expensive.
Right.
But there's one thing about it. When you go to fixing your ceiling, you want to paint your whole ceiling. You don't want to paint just a spot.
Yeah, because you see it.
Yeah.
That can of white upside down spray paint isn't the same exact color.
No, and so what I did for y'all, because the picture's definitely showing that you put plastic on the wall, you spray it, you clean it, and then you paint it, okay? So a roll of 4 mil plastic, 100 foot long now, $62.48. I use Lowe's pricing today, okay? So a roll of tape, 75 foot long, is $7.98. That's not counting the labor to put it up.
Now, yeah, I mean, I guess anything less than 4 mil is just going to rip on you.
Well, you really don't want to use 6 mil because you want to give something that you're going to get rid of. The 4 mil's a one-time use.
Right.
A 6 mil, you can save it, fold it up, and use it again.
Yeah.
Well, I even got 1 mil now, but
right.
I wouldn't even trust 1 mil because let's say if it come in a 10-foot roll, you taped it to your wall, and you got a clumsy helper, and he trips on it, so now he's going to tear it all down.
Yep.
So you got to put it back up.
Fair.
And so just really pay attention.
Well, okay. So let's stay with the top of the house here. I've been in many attics, and many attics I've been into. I'm not worried about bumping my head on a piece of wood. I'm more worried about getting cut or poked with a nail sticking through.
Correct. And that's something that I've always looked at when I'm building, because not everybody. The air gun is the worst. Okay. And I've been in houses. I've been in houses where they've double nailed a joint, and because the first run of nails missed all the way up, and they don't send somebody in underneath to go ahead and knock them back through.
Sure. So
believe it or not, here in the wintertime, just like tonight, we're getting ready to have this cold weather in.
Yep.
And if you have an attic leak from your house and it's hot, now it's going to frost that nail.
Yeah.
All right? What happens to the frost once it starts to warm up?
Drip, drip, and drip.
So if it hits the insulation, it's not probably going to show for a while.
Yeah.
But what's it going to do to the insulation? It's going to drop your R value insulation.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like wood itself has a little bit of R value.
Correct.
We've talked about that with studs and about how that cold weather could pop a nail out because metal conducts cold and heat different than wood does. And so, you get these cold things that the wood's expanding and the frosty nail is popping out. Like, it's just causing more and more problems over time.
Well, I know you've been by a house, an older home, and you see a nail that's sticking out maybe an eighth inch.
Yeah.
The reason it's sticking out is you have two factors. They didn't hit a stud, or the nail was too short to go into it, and the stud froze and it started pushing the nail back out.
Yeah.
And being a remodeler, I've done a lot of older homes remodeling over the years, and when you start taking the sheeting off the side, you'll see black holes around where the nail went in.
Right.
And that's the nail rusting.
Now, if I'm looking in my attic and I mean the roof is already done. I mean, I can't pop the nail back out. I guess the only thing to really do is try to clip it and cut it off.
Well, you can do that, or you can get a can of foam and foam it.
Oh, that's what you're saying. It's like a spray can, just
give
it a squirt.
It. And,
so now you're
to
insulating.
cover it up, so now it's insulated.
Look at you. That's a lot easier because cutting nails with pliers or clippers is not very easy sometimes.
Well, then you definitely, if you can clip it, it will help out.
Yeah.
But if you got those nails all the way down on a 3/12,
and that's what I'm saying is like there's a lot of times it's hard to get to,
and you got to put a piece of plywood to lay down. Now you're going to grease yourself, so you slide down.
And also, like, how many times are those nails? Like 16 penny nails or something. Like,
no, they're always.
There's always. Well, I know it seems like there's always a weird nail that someone threw in there. Though.
Or
you try.
Where
does this come from?
A lot of places use staples to put the plywood down. So, and there's nothing wrong with staples as long as they're applied correctly. They'll hold even better than the nail will.
Yeah.
Because of the top crown on them.
Yeah.
But then if you only got one nail in the rafter and the other side of the nail out, now that's a thin wire, but it's not really holding anything because the staple, see, if you look at it, different staples have different chisel points on them.
Right.
And a lot of the chisel points will cross as it goes in.
Yes.
Or be drawn to each other. Yeah. Or they'll go away from each other. And you notice that there's a color, a paint used on them.
Mm-hmm.
That is a glue to keep them from sliding back out or expanding and contraction, putting them back out. Just like coated nails, that is a glue.
It's the same thing. Okay.
And the friction of driving the nail causes the glue to activate and glue to the wood.
Sweet. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come right back right after this. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of you. And yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Talking a little bit about the silent killers of the house.
Yep. The next one is your shingles.
Okay, so shingles, I know you have a love-hate relationship with shingles, being the metal man. But you know, I like the thought of, hey, I've got hail damage on one, or I got a crack for whatever reason on one. I can change that out, but it's really not as easy as you think.
No, it's not. And it used to be it wasn't so bad. And to explain on the love-hate relationship was, I didn't have any problem with asphalt shingles. Mm-hmm. What I have a problem with is fiberglass shingles.
Right.
Okay. And all shingles now are fiberglass.
Yep.
All right. And it doesn't make any difference. The state of North Carolina, the average lifespan of a shingle's 12 to 15 years here in the mountains. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason we tell people, don't ever buy a 50-year shingle.
Right.
All right. If you're going to buy a shingle and you want to spend the money, buy a lifetime shingle. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I guess around 97, 98, lifetime shingles was about $135 a square then.
Yeah.
So it's untelling what they cost today, but I go by this roof at least once a year to look at it.
Yep.
And it's still there, and it's going on over 30-some years. But the fiberglass shingles, if it's cold, you end up tearing up more shingles trying to make the repair.
Right, they crack and pop.
Yeah, and they're brittle. They break.
I mean, changing them out in theory is pretty easy. You would just pop a long, skinny pry bar up there, and you're popping the nails, and you're done. You slide another one in,
and fold it back and put a nail in. But when you fold it back, that's when it breaks.
Yeah.
So now you're relying on a chemical joint to fix it, and that's your caulking. Yeah. Okay. Now, what happens if it gets? Let's go to 95 degrees with your caulk.
Right.
All right, your caulk's going to liquefy again, no matter if it's already set up. And to give you an idea about metal, when we first started metal, we didn't have anything but silicone. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we had Lexel, and I was working on a gentleman's roof that had an older roof, 5V metal roof on it, and they'd sealed it with silicone. And underneath the ridge cap, it looked like tree roots, where the silicone had got hot and run.
Wow.
I wished I'd have been able to. It actually looked like mold, but it wasn't, okay? You know how fungus is?
Yep.
And but it wasn't. And that's the reason I went to metal around 98, because Atlas shingle was a good shingle. Right. It was an asphalt shingle. Atlas, to give you an idea, Atlas shingle is back now.
Okay.
It's just not in Watauga County.
Got you. So when I'm on the roof inspecting, though, and I see like where these nails are popping up, not completely damaging it yet, right? How is it you go in and pop, like, nail those back down? Are you without messing the shingle up?
The reason it's going to pop is because it's in a crack in plywood.
Okay.
All right. It didn't go deep enough. All right. Or there could have been a void in the plywood that would cause a nail to come back up.
Right.
So it's better to go ahead and, if you can get the shingle up, they show the flat bar there, and because just take your flat bar and put it on top of it. Pop it back down, and then caulk it, okay? And use a good caulk. Lexel holds up a little better.
Right.
Through the Roof is another product that came out that does a pretty good job.
Yep.
And but when you buy caulking, pay attention to what it's used for. You know.
Yeah, because it's not all the same.
That's right. Because there's some caulkings that you can use below ground, where Lexel's not made below ground.
And a lot of times we just go get the cheapest.
Correct.
You know, we don't. It's all. Oh, it should be the same. Let's just grab this one.
And you can't use painter's caulk underground.
I think on the roof. I think we see a lot too, and that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes we just grab it, or that's what we have left over. So that's what we use.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's stick with the top here. The soffits. So soffits over time, even correctly installed insulation. Because that's a whole topic in itself, right? Is how insulation is installed properly on a soffit. But what about just the dust and dirt and just stuff that gets clogged up in there?
Well,
I mean, a soffit's just is a vent. I mean, it's just an air flow.
That's what it's supposed to be, to allow air to flow through. And the evolution of soffit vent or venting of a home, they didn't have any vents at all.
Right.
Then they had gable vents. Okay, and that's all they had. Then they went to soffit vents with gable vents. All right. And in the mid-'90s, it was the first time I ever seen Pink Panther blown-in insulation.
Yeah.
Okay? And I really liked it because it was simple. Mm-hmm. They just come in, they blow it in. They blow it in about 15 inches deep to meet the R value for the code. But then come to find out, in some of the houses, they didn't have any soffit or baffles that go on the rafters, and they had gable vents. So air is just like water. It follows the path of least resistance.
Sure.
Okay? So what I seen is you take your gable vent and the air would come in and it'd go to the soffit vent, the closest to it, and it'd take all this blown-in insulation and move over to where that soffit vent is. So it's taking the insulation off the sheetrock.
Okay.
All right? And I've seen sheetrock totally bare just because of the wind blowing through the vents.
Through. Makes sense. Yeah.
All right? So now we go to continuous vent, soffit vent, and we put continuous ridge vent in. The guys were still putting the insulation in, but they weren't putting any baffles in to control the flow of air.
So now it's still blowing.
Yeah, so it's still moving it off the drywall off above the soffit vent and piling it up in the center of the house. Well, a good rule of thumb to follow, because I've seen new houses built without any baffles, is go ahead and go 4 foot past your insulation, okay? So if any dust particles come in, it goes ahead and moves it on up into the soffit vent through natural convection.
Okay.
Because I still believe in the bib system of blown-in insulation.
Right.
As long as you got it set up right.
Right.
We've even gone as far as to go ahead and run the baffles up 10 foot up the rafters. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were $1 a piece, so that wasn't a lot of money. Now they're a little more expensive than that now. But then they come out with a baffle that you come down and you staple it to the outside of your wall before you put your soffit on. So now your insulation comes up, sits on top of your wall, and doesn't allow any air in.
Yeah.
Because everybody used to stop the insulation at the top plate.
Yep.
Which allowed a lot of cold air into the house.
Exactly. Okay. Well, what if I need to clean my soffits? It's easy to think about grabbing a water hose or a pressure washer, but I got mixed emotions about that, because now you're getting water, because you're going to force water up in the soffits, which will eventually get moisture in your attic.
Well, let's see what's causing the soffit up. Okay, did somebody decide to change the paint and brush all the soffits, soffit vent, and clog it up? Then it's got to be cleaned with a knife.
Right.
All right. Or totally took back out. Take your soffits down. Or is it stopped up because there's moisture coming in from somewhere? And the insulation is coming in.
Right.
And we even seen a house one time where the gutters on the house, and the picture I'm looking at, Terry, you can look at the same picture. There's a 3/4 inch gap between the roof sheeting and the facial board.
Right.
And there's no drip edge on. Okay? So with no drip edge on that roof, that would allow the wind to blow dust, debris, and into it. And that's where you'll see a lot of water on the inside of your house. As it goes on your soffit, goes across, it'll get into your plywood and run down the interior wall.
Right.
And so most people, I don't want any drip edge. Well, drip edge is a code product that is wrote in the books. And if you look at the manufacturer shingles, they call for drip edge. They call for starter shingles, weather shield around the edges. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason roofs are so expensive now, is because you have to. There is no warranty on a shingle,
right,
if it's not done to manufacturer specification.
Right. Well, where the roof and the wall meet, right? That is, not to get into the flashing part yet, but that we see a lot of mold, mildew, debris build up there too.
Correct. And now look at what they done right there. They cut the shingle is laid flush with the face of the drip edge.
Right.
Okay. First off, that's a no-no. All right. And the reason it's a no-no because it's against manufacturer specification.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to see a lot of these shingle roofs put on where they're cutting the rakes off and everything is even with the drip edge.
Yeah.
All right. To be put on correctly, that shingle needs to be 3/4 of an inch past the drip edge. So that gives you 3/4 inch past your soffit with your drip edge,
right.
and another 3 inches. So now you're 1.5 inches off your facial board. So most of the debris that's going to come down the roof is going to fall into it.
Right.
Now that picture that we're looking at right there, now that's a tough picture, okay? And what I mean by that is they've taken their facial boards and their cornice and run them directly on top of the shingle.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, I guarantee you that they didn't paint their cut edges,
mm-hmm.
and most people don't think about that. No. But this is whitewood, and whitewood will rot.
Right. So you really need to keep those. As anything, you just need to keep it off the roof. Like you need to leave a space.
We try
for.
I was reading the other day about smart siding. Smart siding wants it 1 inch off the roof.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. So you want to make sure you use a colored step flashing.
Yeah. A
black or a brown, or maybe a gray to match your shingles.
Yeah.
But the reason for that is they know that in this area that we have snow or high moisture areas like Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's going to rot. And it also calls in the specifications for you to paint every joint that's been sawed.
Which is a wonderful idea.
It is, but how many people go?
Don't do it.
Yeah,
I've been guilty. So, all right, we'll take another break. We'll come right back right after this. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of you out there going over some silent issues that we don't always know until they become big problems here for your house. And no surprise, pretty much all we've talked about here is that the roof, because that gets the most exposure. That's what gets exposed to the elements, and that's what collects the water and the moisture, which is where the problems with 99% of the house problems are.
Correct. And in the picture that we're looking at here, and I called out to Terry, that you can already see water coming behind the siding already.
Yep.
Because what they used a two-piece siding, okay? And, everybody, they call it S4S because it's square-edged, okay? Well, that S4S we're looking at in this picture, the only thing it has on it is exterior latex paint. So as that paint breaks down, even that crack will allow it to go back on because there's no house wrap in it. Another thing that we don't see in the picture is where the tab, it's a 3-tab shingle. Every line, there should be a line on the facial board from the rain and the dust that's in the air. But before I even told Terry, I said, now they're wanting you to put a flashing out that you will see on the roof. And the next thing is kick-out flashing. All right.
So essentially, kick-out flashing is one that. So rather than that, how to describe it, L shape. Now the end is bent.
You bend,
I guess you'd say.
No, you bend it out.
Out, rather. Out. That's what.
So as it comes in, and like I said, if you take that flashing that comes down the roof and you make sure that your wood is 1 inch off, that's what some of them are calling for.
Yeah.
Now you can actually bend that down there, cut it off, caulk it real good behind it, and that'll run the water off.
Yeah.
And you naturally, you know it's there, but you're not going to pay any attention to it because you're going to have your gutter.
Yeah. But and the kick-out flashing is basically going to keep that from wicking back up in the corner.
That's right.
Where the flashing, because if you don't,
where the drip edge meets the side.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's always been a problem. And
when you really look at when you think about what the kick edge, like, it makes sense because if I'm digging a ditch, I'm going to push it away from the driveway. I mean, it's the same concept.
Correct.
You're forcing the water away from, in this case, the wood.
And another thing that we've gone to in the last 10 years, we've gone to 6-inch gutters instead of 5-inch gutters. And a lot of times, 6-inch gutters will keep you from having to put gutter guards on your roof.
Yes.
Now, because it's not necessarily going to work every time. Depends on how many trees you got around your house, which shouldn't be a lot now after this last storm.
And there's not a lot of hemlocks alive anymore either.
Yeah, because even the best gutter guard would be stopped up by hemlocks, needles. And but then that way, 6 inches so big that if you get leaves in it, it actually washes down because the downspout's 4x5.
Right.
And it's a lot stronger gutter, too. It's made out, instead of being 027, it'd be 032 aluminum thickness.
Now, are rusty gutters, are they as a big of an issue as they used to be? Because we're using more aluminum or even some PVC stuff, right? So rusted gutters are phasing out, I guess you'd say. I mean, they're not saying they're not there anymore, but
I've not seen a steel gutter since the 70s.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I thought. Now, that was the go-to material at one time, and if you didn't maintain it, you had to maintain them on the inside.
Yeah.
And the good thing, a lot of people like the steel gutters where they could paint them any color.
Mm-hmm. So they'd match.
Yeah, and so that I remember my granny had steel gutters.
Well,
we'd have to get up and caulk them. Then eventually one day we're going to replace them gutters, Granny. Why? Because the holes is getting too big.
Now, outside of keeping them clean, is there any maintenance that you worry about with the aluminum gutters?
Not really. Like I say, now I have seen aluminum gutters rot out. Mm-hmm. Okay,
but that's more of the facial board, not the.
No, the gutter itself, because of electrolysis.
Oh, okay.
Because steel nails.
Yeah.
Will cause them to rust. Now, most of your hardware is stainless steel in them, or a real heavy aluminum. Mm-hmm. See, so there can't be any electrolysis. The screws are manufactured for gutters. If you take a regular steel hex head screw and screw into it, it's not long. that it starts oxidizing that hole.
Okay. Huh. Science. Gotta love it.
Matter of fact, I put steel gutters on my house.
Okay.
Because I had access to them.
Right.
And we put them on with ollie screws. So what we did was a test, and because I'm a metal man, my gutters come with a drip edge built inside, so the metal overhangs 2 inches. Mm-hmm. And I've seen as much as a foot of snow in those gutters, and those gutters hadn't failed yet.
That's awesome.
So it accomplished what I wanted to do.
Sure.
And I've not had any water run back up in my soffits.
Sweet.
Because I put my closures on.
Well, cool. Well, hopefully these this 7 tips, 7 issues. I don't go out there and check it tomorrow. It's not the day to go on your roof. But next time, you're taking those Christmas lights down, maybe, and you're up there. These are hopefully some things you could just look for and pay attention to, help you out.
Oh yeah, and the whole idea is longevity.
Yeah,
it's to save a buck, not to cost a buck.
Exactly.
And we'll try to continue this show next week.
There you go. All right, all about home construction. Another one in the books. Thanks for listening to us, and it's been good, man. It's good. So we got one more show before Christmas, so we'll make it happen.
Oh, wow.
All right.
And then on the 4th, we'll be having breakfast at the VFW.
Can't wait. Breakfast sounds really good today, so maybe you can go over there and cook me some bacon.
Well, not today.
All right. Thanks for listening to us again, and share it with friends, and we'll talk to you next time. Take it easy, man.
Bye.